All right. So as folks are trickling in, good morning. I'm Sadia Ravindran. I'm the founding head of go-to-market at Hammerhead AI and a board member and co-chair of the Career Development Committee at WCS. We're very excited to welcome you all on today's workshop. Do you have a bold strategy for success with AI? As we're making this massive technological shift, organizations world over are considering how to incorporate AI in a way that delivers business value. And that's what today's conversation is going to be focused on, how to do it. So with that, Caroline, if you could show the slides.
Can you see the slide?
Yeah, no worries. Are we doing screen share yet? Yes, we are. I wasn't looking at the wrong screen. All right, so if you could go to the next slide, please. We're also grateful to our sponsors for today's workshop, SunGrow. So thank you for your partnership. They've been a long-term supporter of WCS, and we're very grateful they came in to support us in this event today. So for today's agenda, I'm going to go through a quick round of introductions for the key folks running the workshop today. And then the first half of it is going to be focused on strategic and critical thinking with AI. How do you drive towards value, strategic marketing, with the focus on delivering impact, and then future, looking out to the future and considering scenario planning with different business outcomes that you're trying to drive. This part of the workshop is going to be delivered by Darlene Crane and Gerardo Garcia Jurado. And then we'll have a quick Q&A break. We want to keep this as interactive, so please do enter your questions into the chat box, and then we will have someone curating these questions because we won't be able to ask all of them. So we'll curate the questions and then present a sub-selection of those during this Q&A period. And then we'll also run through a few case studies for what this actually looks like in practice with Mariam Ibsahani and Evan Beisel delivering these case studies. One is in the context of medical training, and the other one is just broadly AI adoption in academic settings. And then we'll finally close out with a Q&A as well. So for those of you who don't know, WCS is a now 15-year organization which fosters an influential network of professionals to further the roles of women in the growing clean energy, clean tech, sustainability, and green economy, and delivering a positive impact to the environment. So we turned 15 this year, which is all kinds of exciting. So there's a lot more impactful programming coming our way. All right. So for the first part of the presentation, as I mentioned, it's going to be delivered by Darlene and Gerardo. Darlene Crane is the president of the Crane Works and a growth strategist specializing in turning technology investments into measurable business value. With decades of experience as a product leader, strategist, and senior IT program consultant, she helps organizations, specifically small and medium-sized businesses, envision, plan, and execute complex strategic initiatives. Darlene brings deep expertise in enterprise transformation, mergers, revenue growth, and technology-enabled change. So she's perfectly suited for this moment that we're talking about in terms of this massive technological shift with AI. A former MBA adjunct faculty member and co-author of Executive Accountability, Creating the Environment for Business Value from Technology, she focuses on cultivating a value creation mindset that aligns strategy, leadership, and responsible technology adoption, essential for scaling sustainability and securing long-term impact. So in a lot of my conversations with Darlene, it's been, how do we lean into what's happening and how do we do so responsibly, and how do we make sure that women aren't getting left behind in the process. So I'm very excited to welcome her to the workshop today. Gerardo Garcia Jurado. He is a seasoned creative consultant and strategic leader focused on turning innovation into measurable business value. At Imogen LLC, he leads integrated marketing and growth strategies across digital, AI-enabled, and omni-channel platforms for global CPG, wine, and emerging sustainability-driven brands. His work centers on aligning strategy, customer insight, and execution to drive long-term impact, not just adoption of new tools. With a strong background in building high-performing teams and mentoring future leaders, Gerardo brings a human-centric value creation mindset to AI and innovation. His multicultural perspective and executive leadership experience help organizations make smarter, strategy-led decisions that support growth, funding readiness, and sustainable outcomes. So I'm going to pause here and say that I'd love to introduce Mariam and Evine as well, but we will come back to that when their sections are in. So with that, Darlene, I'll turn over to you. Darlene, you're on mute.
Oh, good morning. Welcome to this discussion about the interaction between AI, strategic thinking, and critical thinking. But in order for particularly the speakers to get a temperature of the audience in terms of how you are approaching, how many of you are actively involved in strategic planning, we've got a quick poll for you. We'd like to, do you have a strategic plan for 2026, 2030, 2035? Just please answer these questions as quickly as possible. The first thing that comes to mind. Okay. Okay, we'll give you another few seconds. Okay, I have 19. It really helps if everybody out there takes the poll. Okay. All right. Uh, okay, another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the poll and share results, please. Okay, so it looks like for 2026, 63% have a strategic plan. That's really good. Okay, 2030, 20%. Can we go to last question? 2035.
Yeah,
How are we looking?
if you scroll down,
Oh, just scroll down. I see the bar now. Okay. Okay, 2035. We have 3% and 95%. Okay. Okay, let's close the poll. Let's close the poll and dive into this topic. Okay, and okay. Okay. So I would say that's probably the typical pattern. People always, have a short-term plan, 1 to 2 years. That's good practical experience. But this whole idea of what's called core strategy. Um, core strategy is about defining goals for action over extended periods of time for an entire organization, not just one function. And that it's really critical in order to really focus short-term planning is to have a long-term goal in place. And it also, not just in terms of a project goal or product goal, defines total company value. And total company value is really what's called exit value. And we'll get into that a little bit. But in order to really get to these long-term goals, strategic thinking and critical thinking are essential, which it has in common, that works well for AI. So there's a good marriage of technology, AI, strategic and critical thinking can advance the understanding of where a company is going long term. That would be the major definition. The other key point is, companies do this frequently, particularly corporations. But the handoff from the executive team to the working whole company is the biggest problem. Why? Because strategic planning is a secret process. I think Gerardo refers to this as protecting the secret sauce. Strategic planning is about why does this company exist? What is it going to accomplish in the future? And what is the most unique, distinctive way that others cannot duplicate in order to keep our companies going? So there's a secret wall around strategic planning especially in the large corporations. So we rarely hear that information is not supposed to make it into the public, and how it is done is kept secret also. Uh, so um, uh, so each company has to create its own secret sauce, protect it, and then deliver it. And okay, and Gerardo will talk about being the receiver. I'm going to be talking about what is inside this secret process that is really very important. Okay. I think one of the first things is that strategy should be bold. It's not a linear process. It's an expansive process. So this is what I taught for many years is how to see solutions. And so I think of it as a circular process. Um, and this idea of conducting inquiry, the most important step is the courage to ask daring questions. That because strategy has to be bold. If in sustainability, if we want to see a fix, a decrease in carbon in the atmosphere by 2035, the strategist has to dive in and say, okay, what does that look like? What is it going to take to actually make that happen? And what is the contribution of our organization to do this? And in my bio, I did this in corporations, and it was very technical, mainly financial and product and service oriented. Um, and I came to the belief that that was really unrealistic, um, and not helping the customer or the social context. So I did create this more holistic and humane strategic thinking framework because um, um, I wanted to take a bold step to say, let's be responsible and thoughtful all the time. We're doing uh, strategic work. Okay, so what's key about AI is that okay, the value circle. Okay, let's hold it. Let's not, let's go back to the seeing solutions map just for a little bit. Is that the core strategy has to look at the whole company. You're looking for one uh, uh, strong, bold strategy that can move the whole company forward. It defines company value in terms of the end goal, okay? Not all the tasks going, up to it. The functions will figure that out. And how much is the company going to grow in order to build a customer base or public acceptance in order to achieve your goal? So the technology part of this really has to be protected. So most companies actually do not use apps for core strategy. They pay expensive fees to have consultants do this work for them. You can find apps for doing functional systems, functional, AI analysis. There are actually a lot of them out there. Okay. Um, let's see. Um, okay, the value circle. The value circle, oh, okay, is an exercise that I created to help smaller organizations get into strategic thinking. What is strategic thinking? It is long term. It says and when I work with clients, I insist on a 2 to 3 year plan, a 10-year plan, um, and for sustainability, we have to go as far as we can go. We're trying to heal the planet. Um, so we need to be able to think decades ahead and point our organizations through them to them. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is very broad. And okay, I'm educated as a research librarian, so I say I dabble in all recorded knowledge. And if we need to do that for sustainability, it's how to develop that practice. How wide can we think? How many challenges can we hold? How deeply can we go into them so that we can discover surprising and daring ideas for actually accomplishing our goals. So when we're in the strategic planning mold, we're bold, we're looking for what's distinctive, unforgettable, and valuable. Okay? All right, next slide. Okay, so okay. So when you're in the strategy mode, you're not thinking about projects. You're thinking about what's called strategic initiatives. Strategic initiatives cover uh, basic categories. The first one is opportunities. What are the opportunities that the future is presenting to us about success? The other side are what are the risks? And the risks are as important as the opportunities. Because examination of risks, if we really understand them, frequently become opportunities. And then you see this line in the middle. It actually has a name. I call it the survival line. We always have to be aware of what is the hard resources like funding, like materials, like talent that we need to be successful in actually executing on seizing these opportunities. Actually, financial people love to hear owners talk about their survival line. This has gotten a lot of clients into funding. But there's a way to do this exercise very quickly to be able to um, start defining what is the number one strategic initiative. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. Okay, I'm going to go into scenario planning because of the um, pandemic. It has become a standard, and scenario planning is generally done in large corporations. And what are the benefits of it? Is that it leads to broad, deep analysis. It does understand that social and political conditions have to be brought into understanding a long-term strategy. Um, AI is very beneficial in reducing the cost of the technical analysis of this, but these are custom programs that companies pay for. They do not want anybody else or anybody, and they will build their own databases in order to uh, use technology to speed up this process and have a wide range of um, scenarios. And it is there to help make the toughest decisions. But the risks are it is costly. AI will have bias in it and hallucinate at times. And the other big danger is going down rabbit holes that are a waste. Okay, so for smaller organizations, individuals, I recommend three scenarios to go for. What's your bold one you think you believe you have to go for? And then you have to address what are the high risk scenarios, and you also have to have a stretch goal that maybe frightens you, but you know you still have to go after it. Okay? Um, uh, I suggest that, small organizations stick to, maybe uh, four or five scenarios, but you don't want to have so many scenarios you get lost in them. Okay, let's go move on. Okay, um, so this is actually going to be in your homework to do out of this workshop. I've given you an idea of uh, how much strategic thinking is a stretch beyond just your short-term planning. So but the language that you communicate to others has to be very simple. And so I'd like you to think about what's your number one bold strategic goal and put it into 3 words. Um, then get it down to one unforgettable word that you will use constantly with people. And then what is one demonstration of success, which is either quantitative or a observable, uh, intangible uh, uh, description of success. You have to believe that you are going to be successful in achieving your number one goal. So I'm just planting that seed now because you're going to have some case studies to think about it. And uh, and I hope it helps you move, further into decades-long planning. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to throw this at Gerardo now to take on.
Thank you very much, Darlene. So we're going to talk about strategy in the marketing world. And let me start by saying that everyone is using AI to run faster, but most are running in the wrong direction. AI without strategy is just noise. Strategy is about making critical choices, where to compete, how to allocate your most precious resources like time, money, and talent. Uh, Most companies don't have a tactic problem, they have a direction problem. Tactics are the specific actions like social media, ads, email, stuff like we do every day. But strategy is a high level plan that tells you which direction to run, and it defines the why and the what. The tactics executes the how. Let me give you a concrete example of what strategy is. For example, Tesla in the early days, their strategy was to target wealthy early adopters and position electric cars as aspirational, um, providing uh, proving that electric cars could be better than gas, not just greener. So the strategy drove all their tactics. Their tactics were build an expensive roaster first, then get celebrities to drive them. create exclusive events, showcase performance online, all of those things that will actually gives the strategy the direction that it needs. Next one, please. So strategy is the high level plan that tells you which direction to run in the first place. Oh, we changed. So before anything, before using AI, you must own these four strategic components: brand positioning, target audience, value proposition, and as Darlene mentioned, the secret sauce. AI cannot define them for you. That requires human judgment. And here's the test. I'm going to test you guys. When you go back to your company, bring out what you have as your secret sauce, what makes you unique. And then go into AI and prompt something like, and I'm going to give you an example of a company that I worked with, something like what you do. For example, I run a business to business SaaS company in the HR tech space. What should be my differentiator? And you will see that AI is going to come back with different responses, like focus on AI powered automation that streamlines workflow, emphasize your user friendly interface and intuitive design. And we can go on and on. But the problem is that every HR tech company can get the same answer. So there's nothing unique here. So you have to avoid those buzzwords. If a competitor can use AI to generate a message that sounds just like yours, then you have a message problem. I'm going to give you an example. You have to use brutal clarity. The optimistic version of that would be, we are an innovative HR software company transforming how organizations manage talents. But that's very generic. So if you are brutally honest, you can say, we're slower and more expensive than our competitors, but we are the only HR platform built specifically for manufacturing companies with union workforces. And our founders spent 15 years as plant managers dealing with the exact complexity. We know the compliance landmines that generic HR software misses. That is very specific, and that tells you exactly what the secret sauce is. Next one. So let's look at what AI can do. It analyzes data at a massive scale. It detects patterns, models, scenarios. It tests messaging, but notice what it cannot do. It doesn't understand your brand soul. It can't make ethical judgments. It doesn't feel cultural nuances. It simply cannot replace strategic intuition. AI is incredibly powerful, but it's not a strategist. It's a force multiplier. It amplifies your strategy, but can't create it. Next one, please. Thank you. So let's be clear about what AI is. As I mentioned, it's a strategy enhancement tool. Look at the bottom of this slide and see how AI generates, humans evaluate, and AI executes. I'm going to give you an example. AI can tell you customers who buy product A in Q1 are 73% more likely to churn in Q4. That's valuable data at scale, but AI cannot tell you, for example, therefore, your brand positioning should emphasize long-term partnership over quarterly wins. That strategic leap requires human judgment. Next one, please. So let's talk about scenario-based strategy. And Darlene was touching on this. This is more about marketing, but Strategy is preparing for multiple scenarios, for multiple futures. Most companies overplan for the scenario that they want, and they underplan for the one that they fear. Ask yourself, which scenario are you over preparing for, and which one are you ignoring? You should have your worst case scenario, your desired case, and your best case. For example, the worst case scenario, market downturn, budget cuts, increased competition, customer churn. So your strategy here should focus on retention over acquisition. Emphasize efficiency and value proposition. This is about defending what you have. In the desired case, this is steady, predictable growth, stable customer base, manageable expansion. Your strategy here would be a balanced approach. Invest in both acquisition and retention. Focus on brand building, explore adjacent markets, and this is a sustainable growth mode. And the base case, which that's the one we always want to happen, right? Rapid expansion, breakthrough growth, high demand, potential market leadership. Your strategy, very simple. Aggressive acquisition, scale your messaging, consider premium positioning. This is where you speed up. And finally, next, please. Here's the bold reality. Strategy is about surviving uncertainty with clarity. Look at the question on this slide. Which future are you actively planning for in 2027 and beyond? You know which future, you don't know which future will happen. The market could boom, crash, or plateau, but you need clarity on what to stay constant. And that's exactly why the non-negotiables are: your anchor is uncertainty. Your brand values don't change based on market conditions. Your secret sauce is protected regardless of which scenario plays out. Your relationships survive economic ups and downs, and that is clarity. And this is where I stop, and I'll wait for questions and answers at the end. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, Darlene, were you going to add a few comments? I think you're on mute.
I was just, so this is a good time to put your questions on core strategy and functional strategy, and we're happy to respond to questions. I did want to make one example to contrast. I think Gerardo gave us great examples of how a function accepts the handoff of the strategy. At the core level, I love this example of Nutella. It took 20 years for Nutella to get to market. It was a guy in Italy, and he held on to his dream for 20 years to get it out. That was the thing. Got to get to launch, right? He tested and tested, and he persisted, and that was his number one goal. And when he got it, it was worth the 20 years. How many of us have had Nutella? Raise your hand. It's all over the world. Kids have it every morning for breakfast, right? And we have it for dessert. Okay, that's the core strategy view. It says, what's the number one thing I must do no matter what? Then the tactical view is, okay, how do I get there? And I think it's that heart and soul of the owner that says, I will do this. That's the secret sauce. That's the determination and commitment. Anyway, so have any questions appeared? No? Okay. All
So
right.
I have a question, a couple of questions just based on the presentation. So I'll get it kicked off, and then I think as the questions pour in, we can look at it. So I think in towards the end, Darlene, you had that exercise or homework for all of us in terms of what is that, the boldness that you need to kind of incorporate into your strategy. Could you talk through, maybe perhaps in an anonymized fashion, one of the companies that you worked with, where you worked through this exercise with them, and how you perhaps had to push them to be more bold?
Okay, I was in financial services for a long time, and uh, I was involved in moving from statewide distribution to national distribution. And so the end goal was for this large bank to be national and to be the first one to be national. Um, and that was a super stretch goal, right? As it was illegal. So we actually had to start with the first strategic question was, can we change the laws to go to national? And we had no idea how that was going to happen. But the question was, is it worth it? It was a value question. It said, is the value of going national worth the effort to start with a political change, a social change, in order to even get to the operational expansion? And that was pretty terrifying to be planning that. And the rabbit hole we got into was, should we start regional? Should we take an easier step, to just do this? So we got kind of adjust to it. Um, and the final decision was, no, we just go for everything. I mean, that is a bold, scary goal, right? And they thought, well, maybe it'll take 10 years. Took 20 or 30. And there was a lot of pain. I mean, there was a lot of pain, you know. And I think that's the hardest thing for the strategist is there's a lot of pain that will come with a large companies making change, like and industries like AI. And that's one of the reasons strategists sometimes leave, which I made that decision to say, I want success to be broader. And for those of us in sustainability, our challenge is how can we understand the political, social change that's scary to make, tough to do, but we're like the Nutella guy. We will keep going until we see how that happens. Okay? I think that's the mindset of the core strategists. And then we have great partners in our functional partners like Gerardo. And so we have to have so many of those relationships to make it happen.
And how do you manage investor expectations in the back
You
end?
have to talk to hard results and all of those emotional customer and public loyalty. If we can build a customer base that says, we want this, we're as committed as those that are doing it, and we're partners, the investors will come, particularly if we demonstrate public commitment. Okay, we've got to get that public commitment. Okay.
I just want to add one thing to that. The bottom line there is stay on the road.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
don't lose your North Star.
Hmm.
It might take you much longer, but if you start pivoting or if you start, you know, um, moving things around because it's not going fast enough, at the end of the day, it might not happen.
Okay, I will tell you that when you succeed, it's the best feeling in business you ever have. So I really focus on the launch. You want you don't want a perfect launch. What you want is a launch that sticks, that plants itself in the market or the community that you're going to, that will anchor all the future efforts. Okay?
And just finally, that's why it needs to be bold.
Yes.
Because once you get there, you got to Emerald City. It's not any town. You got there. It needs to be big from the beginning. So you need to be bold on your strategy.
So,
Okay.
Gerardo, I think you had talked about how basically trying to find your brand voice and having it be authentic, because otherwise, if everything is LLM generated, you're going to sound like each other, right? Um, so, help in this day and age where there is a lot of use of LLM, especially for creative content generation. How do you find that balance between like leaning into the tools to make yourself more productive, the judgment versus the generation balance? Can you talk through that a bit? Like, how do you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, it's kind of simple because I'm old school. I've been doing this for many, many years, and I see AI as a tool.
Yeah.
Uh, the problem is the new generations are lazy and they go straight to AI and they start, prompting things without having the knowledge or the feeling or the gut feeling that this is not the way, this is the way, and understanding that AI has been trained on specific things. Unless you have your own AI trained on your company specifically for with your data, it will bring things from everywhere. So that will give you no direction. Um, Again, in my case, it's experience. I know how far it can go AI. When I read something, I'm like, you are totally be full of. So that's how I do it specifically, and I think that should be the angle that everyone should do. Is let think first, what can I get out of AI or not,
But
and evaluate it.
so if I could challenge that a bit, right? Like a lot of these tools are still evolving, and unless you actually engage with them, you're not going to understand the limits of it, right? And like you said, there is a judgment to be applied in the way that you engage with them. So how do you maintain that growth mindset where you're leaning in, but still not being lazy, as you put it?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna respond to that one.
Sure.
I think that it comes down to um actually understanding ourselves better and what we're really committed to. And that when I'm working with an entrepreneur and we're using AI to create a grant grant competition, I find that AI is just bland. I say, if you're in a competition, if you're facing a challenging problem, you've got to get an answer that speaks to where am I really going? Is this really helping me? Or is it giving me garbage? Or is it going to stand out of thousands of competing applications? You want to say, if it's not doing that and you can't validate what it's really, and it's diluting you, you have to say, okay, stop. I'm going to take this and I'll just write it myself. So I say, so my guideline is if it isn't true to what you're trying to accomplish, then something's wrong with the AI. Keep going, keep challenging it, and best finish the draft with your words. Every word has to speak to your truth, your authenticity. Um, but AI can help you because you got to psych it out. Okay. All right. That's it.
All right. So there's a question that came in here. And so either of you, if you could take it. Will Darlene or Gerardo present an example of a bold strategy they have implemented after using AI prompting?
Okay. You have to answer that because I have to protect copyright, so I can't use it.
Okay, well, the thing is, though, AI again doesn't know what bold means. So you need to come up with that. What is for you, for your specific industry, your company, what does bold mean? As Darlene mentioned, is are we going to change laws? Yes, well, then every step of the way, you already have your strategy. This is what we're going to do. So every step of the way, we use the tools on how to do it. AI works for tactics, not for strategy. So again, I want to make sure that what I'm saying comes across. The bold part of it comes from the human, from what is it? What do we want to achieve? And AI just, you cannot prompt what is my bold strategy. You have to figure it out yourself with the help of AI and all the information you can have now at your fingertips, and then chart the course with the use of AI all along the way.
Oh, I can make one comment. I did research if there is scenario planning uh, apps for core strategy. You can't find them. The vendors know that that's custom work. What you can find is functional strategy, which assumes core strategy is done, and then they're all linear, either accounting, project management, financial modeling. They are not going into what is core strategy, which is the core value programs. And so that's not being clearly communicated to the public. Corporations understand that. Smaller businesses do not. So um, uh, so to a certain extent, the industry already accepts that for strategy work, AI will be more of a partner or a tool, but not the decision maker. Okay, and Gerardo and I our big stand is people make the decisions. That who gets uh, People get sued for the mistakes, and the CEO gets fired for the mistakes. You're not going to be taking bots into court. Okay.
All right.
Let's go to the case studies.
Yes. And so I think, Carolyn, if you could just put the slides of Miriam and Evine on, and I'll do, yeah. All right. Thank you. So thank you, Darlene and Gerardo. So now switching to the case studies and the facilitators, presenters for it. So just give me one sec. Yeah. So happy to introduce, sorry, just give me one sec. Yes. So very happy to introduce Mariam. Mariam Ibsahani is a serial entrepreneur at the intersection of technology and sustainability. She's the founder of Spenta Technology, where she brings artificial intelligence and extended reality together to create sustainable, immersive products. Her deep expertise in building tech companies stems from co-founding multiple startups in semiconductors, telecom, and climate tech, where she has designed and brought hardware, software, and services to market. This includes her work at Sonali Bioplastics, creating plant-based alternatives to petroleum plastics. As a true global innovator, Mariam's career spans Silicon Valley and international markets. You should ask her about her work in Bangladesh. She's also a published author, polyglot, and avid traveler, bringing a uniquely creative perspective and a global perspective to the future of technology. So thank you so much, Mariam. I'm really excited about the AI XR related work that you are currently diving very deeply into and how you're bringing that to bear in terms of delivering value to different verticals. Very excited about the conversation here. And Evine Beisel, she's our very own operations and events coordinator at Women in Cleantech and Sustainability, where she supports programs and events while exploring technology-driven ways to improve operational efficiency. So Evine, along with our entire volunteer team, they're the beating heart of WCS. So we're very grateful for all the support that they provide in bringing high quality content to our audiences. She has a background in industrial engineering and holds 2 master's degrees, an MBA and a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship from Hult International Business School. Evine was part of the first business school cohort to encounter ChatGPT following its release in 2022 and continues to apply AI tools in her professional work. So Evine's going to talk about how all of that came to bear in within an academic setting. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. Mariam?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here and with such esteemed people like yourself and Darlene, Geraldo, Evine. So let's get into AI and XR in medical training. That's my focus for the case study today. Next, please. A little bit about definitions so that we have an understanding. AI, you all know, is artificial intelligence. XR is extended reality. And this encompasses augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. You put them together. Next, please. So XR, back. XR is an immersive technology. So basically, you are immersed in it. As you can see from this image, when you put on the head mount, you go into another world, a virtual world. And if it's augmented, you are looking at it with the background where you are as is. When it's virtual, you are in a different space. Next, please. So who needs AI and XR? But this case study that I'm focusing on is healthcare, medical related. So in this particular case, medical students need it, the healthcare professionals and the teaching professionals, the professors at the universities who are getting these students ready to become medical doctors, nurses, as well as healthcare professionals. Next, please. So what are the benefits of AI and XR? In this particular space, reduces the training costs significantly, and you have increased training efficiency, and you have an enhanced learning experience because you go into a completely different dimension where you are looking at things from a different angle. And the best part is you can make mistakes. When you are working with human beings, when we are performing surgery or whether it is diagnosing someone, we can't afford to make mistakes with our fellow human beings. But in the case of when you are in this extended reality world, you can make mistakes and you can continue and learn and relearn. So there are a lot of benefits. These are just a few of the benefits that we are seeing right now. Next, please. So what are the challenges for the medical students? I'm going to take this now to Bangladesh. This is where I have been spending quite some time, and I set up a new company there called Spenta, and we have a team that has been very focused in the healthcare space. And I said to them that, I would like to get you guys to focus on anything that is good for humanity as well as sustainable. So besides working on climate, environment, and other topics and working with those potential clients, the team came to us from the medical space. So the medical students, they don't have access to cadavers. We're talking about Bangladesh, and this actually applies to several countries, whether we're talking about South Asia and several African nations as well. So if they can't get those dead bodies to work on, to practice with, to get the experience, we have a problem because we need them to be able to practice before they get out there. Now, textbooks are extremely expensive. And there's one particular book I was told that is in the currency of that country, 40,000, which is actually quite a lot of money, several $100s, but even then that's a lot of money for that side of the world. So in Bangladesh, what the students do is 5 to 6 students, they share a textbook, they buy it together, or they use the used textbooks. And many of them can't even afford to do that. So they, just get their hands on whatever they can. So these are challenges. Next, please. So what did our team do and why, right? So this is what they said, that like, here's the challenge. How do we address it? What's the solution? So they put the main medical textbook online. The one book that I mentioned is 40,000 Bangladeshi takas, several $100s. They put that entire book online, and not just online, but in a virtual way. So you can turn the heart, you can turn the lung, you can look at it, all the labels are there, you can flip it around, because that's what happens when you go into the virtual world. So the students now have unlimited access to these materials. And thanks to extended reality programs, practicing now is limitless. I mean, they can access these tools, they can be better at what they want to be when they graduate. For example, whether they'll be nurses or doctors or uh, uh, in whichever space in the healthcare. And using artificial intelligence and these extended reality programs has become a life-changing thing for the medical students, because we want these students to be ready, better doctors, better nurses, better healthcare providers when they get out into the communities that they are going to serve. We don't want them experimenting on us without having the practice, without having access to understanding the human body better and such. Next, please. So back to Darlene's number one strategy, right? So these were the questions that she asked us. So I put this in the context of the work that we are doing at Spenta. And my bold strategic goal in 3 words would be qualified medical professionals. That's what we need. That is the goal. And if I were to say one unforgettable word, awareness. I'm all about awareness campaigns at Shonali Bioplastics. In my bioplastic focused plant-based company, we are always doing awareness campaigns so we can get people out there to understand what it is that is missing, what it is that we can create around and change eventually. And on demonstration of success, definitely we want increase of certified medical professionals. Like I said, that we want them to be qualified and not be experimenting at that stage. So next slide, please. So we're just back to the same AI and XR. So what the team is doing is putting these two together. In fact, the programming languages that extended reality, 3D modeling professionals utilize, they utilize Python, which is used in artificial intelligence. My team comprises of people from both sides. Therefore, that's how we are unique in the sense that we are bringing this together. So that's about it from me, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Super exciting work. When is in terms of like the first couple of medical professionals who are going to be trained in this process, like what does that timeline look like, and how are you thinking about measurement, right? Like someone who's trained in this way versus someone who's trained in the more traditional manner, and how do you compare and contrast?
Yeah, so this has already started because this was the project actually my team had started on and worked on before they became my team. So I kind of inherited a team, and we created this company together because they no longer wanted to work for those other companies where they were. And so we became partners in this thing to move forward. So this work is already in action. And as far as Bangladesh is concerned, we're moving forward, as fast as we can. I haven't given up on working on this as well. But it has changed quite a few lives. This service was provided to medical colleges, especially government colleges, where we know, the situation is very different to private. Because the private ones, they tend to have more finances, and so they can, have access to books and such. But this technology being provided in the government space, medical colleges is where we have been focused. Yeah. So the traditional will always be there. But when you don't have the cadavers, when you don't have the books, when you don't have the technology, you can't just watch YouTube videos. You have this service which takes you to be a better professional.
Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mariam. So from Mariam's case study, we'll move into my case study. This is a case study about AI adoption in universities. I want to share this not from a company, but from a business school, Holt International Business School, where I studied, because it shows something critical. Strategy doesn't always start at the top. What happened here was that it started from an individual fear and uncertainty, turned into collective action with my other colleagues, or other students, and eventually forced into institutional change at this business school that I studied. This is a real example of strategic action before formal strategy. Next, please. So where you can see here, this is me sitting down on the desk. I didn't go to business school to become an AI expert. I went because for many reasons, of course, professional development, but one specific reason was that I directly was told that my writing wasn't good enough at my workplace, and I was looking for ways to improve my skills. So I was thinking English as my third language. I was aware of the struggles, but I had ideas, but I couldn't express them clearly. So in my first months at the school, we had back-to-back writing projects, and I was really, really struggling. So I worked for an example of a case was a marketing project I worked on. I worked on it a full week on one case, truly gave everything I could do, but I still received a B minus, but I was quite sure I'm going to get an A or A plus, with feedback saying I missed some requirements of the project and my writing wasn't strong enough. So this is where goes into next. Next, please. Thank you. So this is literally a few months after school started. 2022, ChatGPT was released in November. And then I think as many others out there, I resisted. I didn't start using ChatGPT right away. It was an initial hesitation I had. I thought it was another tool out there, like another social media account, to be honest. And I was like, I don't have time to manage that or use it. But then when I walked into classroom, it was open on almost every laptop screen. And I was like, okay, this is a moment. It was a strategic realization. I could do nothing. That was a decision, but also it meant falling behind. And then so I started actually using AI. And then eventually I recognized it did have significant benefits. I couldn't believe the responses I was getting back. It was like talking to a person. The first feelings were very strong. I was like, okay, wow, this is actually fascinating. But in the later stage, I realized I wasn't copying answers from ChatGPT or any AI tool, but I understood the requirements and structure that it required. And it did structure my thinking as well and help me translate ideas I already had in mind in writing and in practicality. So from hesitation, it turned into a static engagement, where strategic engagement, where it helped me to have this relationship with AI. Next. So talking about the first stage of the process, the first phase. So I realized 3 to 6 months using this tool, there was a value creation and a human AI collaboration between me and AI. So it wasn't a shortcut that just some simple way people would think. First of all, AI didn't think for me. It structured my thinking. So I learned quickly where it failed. AI had a lot of bias, a lot of missing context, a lot of hallucinations. So I had to start feeding it with correct inputs, project requirements, and real data, and then had to, at the end, correct everything that it put as an output for me. So what changed was speed and creativity. So a project that took me a week with less results that I expected turned into 1 or 2 days project. My grades moved from B minus or B to A or A plus. So it's not because I copied AI, but because I could finally express my thinking clearly by using AI. So it became a collaboration loop where there was human input, AI structured, and it was a whole circle that started and which worked out at the end. Next, please. So this is phase 2, where there was a chaos to acceptance process. Because yes, individually, not only me, all the students were using AI. And then it was collective. We started having group projects. Our group projects changed. Everyone was submitting like much more clear, without spelling or any like human errors you can see usually in projects. Submissions were much more clearer and perfect. The quality changed, so the faculty could realize this change on the behind the scenes. And they were having a strategic dilemma that we were going to be told a year after that. But during that time, I wanted to express in this visual graphic you can see on the scene. Our faculty was thinking in the behind, and they were like, should we stop AI, or are we going to accept it and rethink our educational system? So at first, there was an uncertainty, then there was a verbal acceptance, and transparency became the rule over time. So it was a collaboration and analysis that turned the whole group adaptation into faculty adaptation. A memorable experience was that when I just referred, a year after that, we were about to finish our second master's at Holt International Business School. We had a class called AI and Future of Work, which was taught by our Professor Rob, who was a past speaker on one of our AI sessions last year at WCS. He openly shared, he said, I know you guys were adopting AI a year ago, but we had a chaotic moment in the back. We didn't know what to do. Professors were like panicking. There was like uncertainty, but he openly expressed, we knew AI was coming and changing the whole structure of our education system. We had to do a constant decision-making and process and make sure students are still learning this whole education system while using AI. So this was the phase 2, and we'll move to next. Okay, so phase 3, strategy becomes explicit. The shift was complete. Professors didn't just allow AI, they required students to use AI in classroom. We had to submit our prompts for AI that we use. We had to show our AI outputs and actually identify mistakes and correct them on spot with our professors in class at the end of our project submissions to show what we fed the AI with, what AI responded, and how we actually made it think of us, or started to correct the inputs, the outputs AI was giving. So this wasn't an AI replacing learning. It was a collaborative model, human judgment optimized by AI. Together with that, another example, we had a student club that emerged called Holt AI Society. So it was a very active club. We had professors collaborating with our students on campus, creating events, collaborative projects where students, not only students, but outside professionals tech gurus in the Bay Area or whoever out there wants to come in and learn, we let them come in. And it was a cohesive moment where school was engaging with outside businesses and companies. It was a great exchange. And this group of students who actually created the student club will come in to the classrooms, teach together with the professors, because our professors were aware that they are learning together with the students. So it was it became very explicit. It was a strategic move. Institutional strategy was out there. It was very open, and AI was a part of business school strategy from that. And next, please. So from here, I want to share my wrap-up homework from Darlene. Thank you so much for putting this together. So what is my number one strategy I commit to deliver? So 2030, my bold strategic goal comes as decision-driven leadership in 3 words. What that means to me is being trusted to make and communicate decisions in complex situations, especially when AI is involved, and taking responsibility for the outcomes, not just the execution. And the next one unforgettable word for me is empowerment. AI didn't replace my thinking. It gave me the ability to clearly express, refine, and stand behind my ideas. So to put it together, empowerment was the feeling. Decision-driven leadership is what I'm building a career on. And and my demonstration of success is this: constantly turning complex ideas, data, and AI outputs into clear, compelling communication that people can actually act on. This was my case study. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I would love to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabin. Can you talk through how you've utilized all of these learnings into your role at WCS to become more productive, more effective, more strategic?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I actually tend to compare it my time before going to business school. When I work at WCS, I used to work for another nonprofit organization. So definitely the shift has been from dealing with like micro tasks. Now I'm dealing with macro, like, because in the past I was struggling on writing, making sure I'm delivering the right agreement, the right email. I'm working on this like micro level problems that I didn't want to focus on, but I wanted to more focus on like strategic, like project, like bigger picture basically. So from then and now, I think the shift is I realized for me it became much easier. I have a clearer when I start my days with my work at WCS. I'm clearer on what I need to do for our events and our operations, rather than worrying about these like little things that I have missed in the past. I don't know if that helps, but because I constantly use like AI in the meantime to summarize or to organize my thinking and my work, and it has been very helpful. Any questions? But we will have more questions, I believe, together with Mariam to answer.
Naveen, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Did you do all your illustrations with AI?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I actually was gonna mention that. Yes, all the illustrations you've seen, I created with AI tools. This has been a part of my journey too. I always had like this visuals that I wanted to share while I'm talking, because I think it helps the audience stay more engaged and understand what I'm talking about. One thing though, because we talked about how AI is biased and how it create things that you don't really think. Every time I put my prompt in, it was a male character. So I had to every time correct that. I said it's a female student, black hair or whatever. I wanted to describe myself as it is. So AI is biased. Watch out for yourselves. That was a good example to share.
And that is a really good point about AI being biased, because that's another reason why we cannot rely on AI on, finding our strategy or helping us in ways that we don't have our human filter through it. So thank you for sharing.
Of course. I see a question in the chat. Sadia, can you read it to me? Okay, I see it now. Never mind.
I can, if you
Oh,
want to.
I got it. What are the cautions your faculty and students learned when using AI? Is bias the biggest aspect? The biggest caution that was brought up in one of our very major classes, the one I mentioned, AI and future of AI and work, was ethics. So because the AI is fed with certain data that currently we don't have control over, and our professors were raising their concerns around that, because they were like, if AI is fed in with some unethical database that us humans we usually wouldn't accept or practice, it will still execute on based on that data. So it's very important to address that on an earlier stage. So it went into the topic about how to regulate AI or governmental level or institutional level, however you call it. So how do we govern our data, basically? How do we feed these AI tools? That was one of the biggest, one of the cautions that brought up. And of course, that data makes AI biased, because it's like us, when we grow up, whatever we learned, we're biased with that. AI is growing with that too. So I will say they're correlated, but yes, data is important. We have to watch our data. We have to clean our data per our ethical and institutional rights or human rights, whatever you call it. Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I just say something really
Yes.
quick? And it might not be related with strategy, but with AI. I teach digital marketing at an MBA global program, and I encourage my students to use AI. The only thing that I ask them to do is to share 3 prompts that they have used during the semester, and explain why they wrote it like that, and if they got what they needed from, or they didn't. And I think, because we cannot go against the flow, and we know that AI is here to stay. I think we need to work together as teachers or professors, however you want to call it, with the new generations in how they learn, how they use these kind of tools. Just wanted to make a note.
Okay. I think we're kind of wrapping up here. Um, and I'm bringing up this. I'm bringing up this homework assignment for the audience, which is for you to really think about what is the number one strategy you commit to delivering on in 2030. Okay, so that's, 5 years out, 5 years out. That's a moderate stretch there. And that how can you make it a bold strategic goal in 3 words? Okay. And then the second one is how can you put it into one unforgettable word that you can use consistently as you communicate with others, so that you can find out who are your supporters and people that will help you get to your bold strategic desired outcome. And then what is the one demonstration of success that, again, you can use to um, uh, expand your communication, um, to resources you need, and to keep pointing towards success for your number one bold idea, or a strategic goal. So we encourage you to do this exercise on your own. Um, and I think um, one of the things that we'd like to do to wrap up this is to ask each one of the speakers, what's the number one thing you would like this audience to take away from your presentation? And so I'm going to go in reverse order. We're going to go to Aveen first. Can you give us your um, uh, recommendation for what the audience should take away from your comments?
Mhm. I think my recommendation will be definitely to not be afraid or hesitant to use AI and actually work with it. Because I remember that's what I did at the beginning, and then when I realized the power I had with it, I definitely felt blessed and wanted to learn more about it and use it more often. Which I can't lie, I'm using quite often. I use for my personal things too, not just for career, not just for work. When I'm indecisive with decisions that I need to make, I just put everything because it helps me get strategized about what is going on in my mind, basically. So my recommendation, make AI work for yourself and for your companies, for your colleagues out there. It's definitely a great tool to have.
Okay.
Make operative.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to Mariam.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So as Geraldo said, that AI is here. So yes, as a climate person, a environment lover, I always try to focus on using anything for good. And so that's why also I've set up this company because we want to use artificial intelligence and especially extended reality for good. So I think what I would like the audience to take away from here, besides my case study presentation, is that do look into extended reality, learn a little bit about it, see what is out there because it's already out there. And so we need to get on board, but use everything in a safe manner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Gerardo.
Well, first I want to point out, thank you very much for doing this. I think it was I hope it was in
WebEx.
insightful. I want to just talk about what Mariam said. XR is here to stay. It's going to be. I consider myself an early adopter. I used Chat GPT on November 2022. I was like, what the hell is this and how can I use it? Right away. So I am familiarized with XR, and let me tell you guys, this is going to happen. Everything you see now in front of you in your computer will be here. There will be no more screens, and so on and so forth. But what I would like the audience to take with you is be bold. Be bold in your strategy. Don't be afraid, because if you don't take risks, then the benefits will never get there. Of course, we already talked about the needs of separating strategy and tactics and how and where to use AI. But other than that, is have your goal clear and your North Star and follow it all the way.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Oh, I want to make my last one. Okay. The recommendation that I would make to the audience is to get very, very clear about your commitments. And I think that what's really nice about this panel is we had a multi-generational, multicultural and panel. And I think we're coming around to some common ground about AI and the future. And I think having that mindset, but going into collaboration with your clarity about your commitments is really important. So I would suggest that you consider what those are. And so now we're turning over the homework to you. Please contact any one of us. I'm sure we'd be happy to help you in any way we can or answering your questions. And now we're going to turn it over to Sadia for the wrap up. And thank you very much for your time. And this was a pleasure to participate in it. Thank you so much. Sadia?
She might be gone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's running into audio issues. So
Okay.
maybe you wrap it up,
Evie?
Darlene.
Okay.
Evie?
These are the next events for WCS. And you see that we have a full calendar in March. We will have an AI series on the practice. So dive in to these workshops. And then we have a number of presentations here in February, job fair, and we have a celebration and found her in climate workshop series. I'm not quite sure that is, but that will be interesting. Okay, next slide. Um, okay. Join our community within 24 hours of today's event for full reimbursement on your ticket. Okay, and there's the link to that. And also look for us on YouTube um, and Instagram. Those are our two major uh, channels. And I think we have 20,000 uh, 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 contacts on that. And we're very active in LinkedIn. So please connect with us. Okay. And oh, yes, thank you to our volunteers. Um, Um, I was one of the organizers, Evine, Carolyn, and Marika. Great team to work with. So thank you very much. And we hope to see you at some of our future events.